Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be learning basic crochet stitches. I am using I Love This yarn today in the color Orchid. The recommended hook size is a 5.5 millimeter hook, so I will be using my 5.5 millimeter clover crochet hook. You can get the clover set on Amazon, or you can get another version that is like clover for cheaper. They go for about $15 a set. So to start off today, we are going to be learning how to make a slip knot, because that's how you're going to start this. To make a slip knot, you're going to take your yarn and you're going to make a number 4 with your yarn. So it'll look like the number 4 when you have it like this. Using the fingers inside the 4, you are going to pinch and pull that yarn through that you were holding. And that is what makes your slip knot. The slip knot is one where you can move the yarn in and out. So it's very, very easy to use. You're going to put your crochet hook in there and you're going to tighten it up. You don't want it too tight though, but just enough that you've got some room to wiggle it around here. So to start off, we are going to learn how to chain stitch. Chain stitching is used a lot for the foundation of patterns, blankets, stuff like that. It's a very, very important stitch. So to chain, we are going to hold on to our knot here. You are going to grab the yarn from behind. This is called yarning over when you bring the yarn around front here. You're going to hold on to that knot because you don't want your loop to tighten. And you're going to pull that yarn through. That is one chain stitch. So let's try it again. You're going to hold on. You're going to pull the yarn from behind to front, doing a yarn over. You're going to pull through the loop, and that is a chain stitch. Again, we're yarning over and pulling through the loop. Make sure that you're not trying to tighten it while you're making it. You want these chains to stay a relatively nice size so that you can work into them. So we're gonna do 3 more. So we're gonna yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. Each of these V's is one chain stitch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain stitches here. The next stitch that we're going to be going over is a single crochet. Now, a single crochet is 1 chain stitch high. So we are going to skip this first chain stitch and work into the second chain stitch from the hook. To start this single crochet, we are going to insert our hook into the stitch. We are going to grab the yarn and pull it back through. We now have 2 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops that were on our hook. So again, for another single crochet, we're going to go into this next stitch here. Make sure you don't go into the same one. Next stitch here. You're going to insert your hook. You're going to grab that yarn and pull it through. We're going to yarn over and pull through both the loops that were on our hook. So again, we're going to insert the hook. You're going to pull that yarn through, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. Again, we're going to insert, pull up that yarn, grab it from behind, yarn over, pull through both loops. One last time. We're going to grab that yarn from behind, pull it through, yarn over, and go through both of those loops that were on the hook. Now don't be afraid if your stitches don't look super pretty, don't look super consistent when you start. It happens when you're a beginner. It's totally okay. Practice will kind of help your gauge and different things like that so that your stitches will be all like nice and pretty and uniform. But again, just practice, practice, practice. Next stitch that we're going to make is a half double crochet. So to start, we are going to chain 2 because that is the height of a half double crochet stitch. So we are yarning around and pulling through the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop. Now that gives me 2 chain stitches here. In a pattern where it says that the chain stitches count as a stitch, you'll skip this first stitch here and go into the next one. However, today we are using it as what's called a turning chain. So it does not count as a stitch, it's just to kind of give us the height and to get us into the next row here. Because you always want to turn your work around because you're always crocheting right to left. So to start a half double crochet, you're going to yarn over on your hook. So it'll just be this loop here and then your yarn over. You're going to insert into the first stitch here. Make sure that you're going through both loops on it. That is the full stitch there. So you want to go through both loops on there. You are going to grab that yarn from behind again and pull up a loop. Now you are going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops that were on your hook. So again, for the next double crochet stitch here, we are going to yarn over, insert our hook into that stitch. Remember, we're going through both of these here. You're going to grab that yarn from behind. You will now have the 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. Got a little bit of a yarn knot here from the middle. Now we're going to do another one. So we're going to yarn over, insert, remember we're doing both here, grab the yarn from behind, you'll have the 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. Again, yarn over, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3. Again, last one here. The last one on the row can be a little bit tricky. When you're starting out, you may want to put a stitch marker on your first and your last stitch of each row, especially depending on the project, because you can add or reduce stitches not knowing where they end. So this is our end stitch right here. So we've yarned over. We're going to insert into that stitch there, make sure we have both in the loop. Pull the yarn out. You now have the 3 on your loop, or 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3. And that is your half double crochet stitches. You can see that they're slightly bigger than the single crochet stitches. So now we're going to go to the next one here. We are going to do half double crochet stitches. Now a half double crochet is 3 chains high. So we are going to start by chaining 3. So we're going around the back, pulling through the loop, yarning over, and pulling through the loop. Yarn over, pull through the loop. Again, we're using this as a turning chain, so we're just going to go into the straight first stitch here. And we are going to make a double crochet. Right. So we are going to yarn over. You're going to insert your hook into the stitch, making sure that you're through both loops. You're going to grab the yarn from behind. You will now have 3 loops on your hook. You are going to yarn over. You are only pulling through these first 2 loops. So you're going to pull through the first 2 loops, and then you got 2 loops on your hook again. You are going to yarn over again, so you're going to pull that yarn around the back here, and you're going to go through those last 2 loops, and that's a double crochet. Let's do it again. So you're going to yarn over. You're going to insert your hook. You're going to pull up a loop. So now you have the 3 on your hook again. You will yarn over. You're only going through the first 2. So 1, 2. You're going to come around again and go through the second 2. So yarn over, insert your stitch, grab the yarn from behind, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Last one, we're going to yarn over. This is my last stitch here. You can always look at the top if you're not sure. You're going to go through both of these loops. You're going to pull the yarn from behind, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Now, perfect. That is our row of double crochet stitches. So you can tell that they are the biggest stitch that we've done so far. So we have single crochets, half double crochets, and double crochets. These are the stitches that you are most often going to see when you are crocheting. Now I'm going to show you slip stitches. These are mostly used to join rounds together. They can also be used to finish off work. They can be used to like match colors, different things like that. I'm going to chain one just so that my slip stitches are a little bit nicer here. Since we're not ending a row, we're just kind of like turning, because I'm using this for an example. A slip stitch is the smallest crochet stitch. It's very, very, very simple. So to slip stitch, you will insert your hook into the stitch. Remember, we're going through both. You're going to pull the yarn through, so you have both loops on your hook now here, and you're gonna pull right through that same loop. So you'll end up with one on your hook. It is the smallest crochet stitch because it sits flush with the rest of it. So again, this is a slip stitch. We're gonna go through this stitch. We are going to grab that yarn from behind and we're going to pull it through the loop that it's on. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Go through that stitch, pull that yarn from behind, and we're going to go through that again. All right, we're gonna go do it again. Pull it from behind and through the same loop. Last time, we are going to go through, we're going to pull from behind and go through. Remember when you're crocheting not to pull too tight for any of these stitches. Tension and gauge will come as you practice, but you don't want to be too tight because then you can't work into your stitches, different things like that. The slip stitches are normally going to be a little bit tighter, but you can definitely give them a little more slack if you need them a little bit looser, like if you're working into them, like some patterns will have you do. But these are the basic crochet stitches. These are like your beginners, the ones that you'll find in all the basic patterns. I hope you enjoyed today and happy crocheting.